Hey everybody, welcome to HomeRecordingMadeEasy.com, VisionRecordingStudios.com, and here on my YouTube channel. And today is video 4 of the Slate Raven MTI little documentary series that I'm making here, where I am kind of documenting the my experience with the MTI Raven. Started off on video 1 with an unboxing and a kind of a setup. Video 2 was kind of a first impressions, playing around with it in Logic Pro X a little bit, showing you how the touch was in my first couple of hours actually using the Raven. Video 3 was where we actually began to set up a song session in Studio One, Presonus Studio One version 3. And now we are on to video 4, where we're going to kind of continue where we left off in Studio One. Now, to keep in mind, if you haven't seen the other 3 videos, the Slate Raven software is not yet out or released yet, so the Raven technically doesn't really work with Presonus Studio One. It's coming sometime in the 4th quarter of 2015 according to Slate's website and their user forums, but as we all know with every company, they have a targeted date. Will that date slip? Will it be pushed out? Who knows? Maybe it'll be sooner than later. Who knows? But I'm anxious to get it for Studio One. But I wanted to show how you can use Studio One just as a touchscreen without all the Raven overlay mixers and batch commanders, so on and so forth. Because as I've mentioned in my other videos, from what I understand and what has been published on the internet, is that Presonus Studio One version 3 was really kind of designed and built with touch capability in mind for the future. So in my first experience in the last video using it with Studio One, it does seem a lot more touch friendly than what Logic Pro is, or Logic Pro X. So anyhow, let's jump into this here. And we're gonna go ahead, now that we got everything set up and routed and color coded, I want to do something that was very challenging to do in Logic Pro, which was kind of work with the events, touch the events, do some fade ins, some fade outs, some cuts, clean up some tracks. And that's what I want to kind of do here to kind of show you how that feels for the first time. And again, I haven't pre-rehearsed any of this. I'm doing this really for the first time. I picked up with my trusty old stylus pen after the last video to see if that would help, where maybe the finger may have a difficult time getting accurate touches. Maybe the stylus pen would be better. I don't know. We're going to have to see. I'm going to try to keep my hand off the tracker ball as much as possible and off the keyboard, but if we have to and we're struggling, we'll use the old way of doing things. Again, this is just to show you what it's like if you're a first-time user or a new user to the Raven. So let's take a look at this, and I will do some screen capturing to pop up stuff on the bottom of the screen here so you can see me actually using the Raven, as well as something else in the bottom of your screen, so you can kind of see what I'm trying to do, if that makes any sense. So let's jump into this. So here is our song here, and one of the first things I want to try to do, which I had a difficult time doing with Logic, is resizing tracks, doing fade-ins and fade-outs, and having that accurate touch. So let's see if we can do that. So right now in Studio One, the tracks are all at the small height setting. So one of the things that I had to struggle with is using just my finger, just reaching out and grabbing a track and resizing it. What tends to happen if you don't get a perfect, here we go, if you don't touch it absolutely perfectly between the tracks and get that cursor to change from a pointer to what looks to be a double triangle kind of a symbol there to be able to resize the track, you end up just moving the tracks around. That's usually challenging. So that wasn't too bad. You just got to kind of know where to touch it, and you can kind of go ahead and you can kind of resize the tracks. And again, that was a lot easier than the time I had with Logic Pro in a couple of videos back. So the first thing I'm going to do is kind of try to zoom out a little bit here. So we're going to have to use the keyboard for that because we don't have the batch command here. So we're going to zoom out a little. We're going to just take our finger and we're just going to kind of scroll over to the beginning, and let's just try to do some cuts and some fades. So we could go over to our knife tool here and we can just make a cut, go back to the pointer tool, and then I'll just hit the delete key, and then you should be able to take the corner and just kind of drag it in as a fade. Let's see. There we go. So again, and part of this is I'm trying to turn and talk to you, so I'm not seated in the optimal position, so keep that in mind as well. So that's kind of the kick, and now let's go ahead and resize the snare track if we can. And this is one of the challenges I even had with Logic. Like I said, it's hard to get that perfect touch so you can resize it. Now what you could do, and if you wanted to in Studio One, is you can just go down here and make all the tracks large size. But you know, I want to see if we can, I want to try to resize the track, and that's what I'm trying to do. So now we got it now. So it's knowing where that perfect touching point is, and that's something I would imagine you get used to I've watched Slate, Stephen Slate and his crew online, you know, demo the Raven and, you know, doing all these kinds of things very, very easily. And again, once you get used to where that touches, I'm sure it's very fluid. So anyway, let's go ahead and let's get our blade tool again, make a cut, go back to our pointer tool and delete. And then take our stylus pen maybe and just kind of, whoops, don't want to do that. So again, it's getting that perfect touch. There we go, fade in. And now if we go to our hi-hat, we can do the same thing. We can, maybe we'll just take the event and just kind of drag it over. We have the snapping tool, I believe, is on. Let's turn that off for a minute. Not so bad. And now the scrolling, again, because we don't have the Raven software yet, you can't just scroll up and down the tracks up and down like you could with a mouse wheel. So you can always take your stylus pen and just grab the sidebar and do it this way for now. So now the tom track, we really don't have any audio at all. I think he just hit the tom a couple of times throughout this song. So if we just scroll over here, here's the only tom hit in the song. And again, we can take the knife tool, we can put a cut here and a cut here. We can go back and delete. Oh, I think I might have moved it there. Nope, that's okay. Fade out, fade in. And that's some of the frustration, again, it's knowing exactly where to touch a fade out, okay? One of the things that I don't like about Studio One, if I may say, and all my Studio One fans out there are gonna write me a bunch of hate mail because you know how much I love this DAW, but the one thing that they don't put in this, and for touch capability, I think it's essential, is you cannot lock the events on the timeline like you can in every other major DAW. So you can't do this, and you can't move it by accident, especially when you're touching and stuff. It's very easy to knock stuff out of place. And if they designed a DAW with touch capability in mind, that's something that needs to be fixed. And I know I've put in a support ticket and I've talked to some of my friends over there to say, hey guys, you really need to do this, because I can see with touch in the future, that's a problem. Now again, I don't know if with the Raven software, when it comes out, if that software will have the ability to do that. I don't think so. But unless anybody else knows something that I don't know about Studio One, how do you lock these events on the timeline so they cannot be moved inadvertently? I don't believe you can. Anyhow, I'll get off my soapbox, but that could be a problem. It was a problem for me when I was doing it with a mouse and a tracker ball, and I was a lot more accurate, but doing it with your finger, very easy to knock stuff out of place. But anyway, here we go. So let's try to resize the tom track and make it small again. Let's try to resize the hi-hat, not so bad. Okay, now we got the overheads. Scroll back to the beginning, let's highlight that, kind of move it over. There we go, fade. And then we can go down to the end. Fade. That is, even with me struggling a little, that is much easier than it was in Logic Pro, for me anyway. So now let's, again, let's scroll up a little, let's scroll down a little, I should say, and let's get to our bass track, turn on our mixer view, or we could turn off the mix altogether so we can see the edit screen better. So we're on the bass track now, so let's do the same thing. Let's scroll up a little bit, and again, I have to use the stylus for this because I can't get my finger close enough in there because of the steel frame of the Raven. So let's scroll all the way to the beginning. Let's take our bass track. See, you move it by accident, not good. Not good. So we gotta, see, that's not good. So that's one of the problems I have with Studio One, is that you can't lock it on the timeline. So we could take this. See, it's getting that. There we go, and then we'll go over to the ends. Do the same thing. There we go. Okay, acoustic guitar. Let's do this. Let's highlight. Again, we're gonna nudge it. We don't want to nudge it, so the easiest thing to do is take my blade, but then it's extra steps. It would be nice to just be able to get a better control over moving the without nudging the track. And then here we go. Okay, so not too bad. Again, even with some of the struggles I'm having, it's still easier for me than it was in Logic, that's for sure. So let's go down to the fiddle track. Let's see if we can try this again, maybe with the stylus. So if we take the stylus on the edge, see, it still moves the track from left to right. That's gonna be a major problem, I can tell, for me until I get really good with the touching. And then we can delete this, and then we can, see, did it again. So that is one of the problems that we're going to have, no question about it. So let's see if we can take the stylus pen. Nope. Okay, so this is part of the learning process. You know, it's part of learning how to use. There we go. Let's see, let's take the marquee tool here. Let's see if we can do this and just, great. Oh, back to the arrow tool. We'll go over to the end of the fiddle track and see if I can do this without screwing it up. There we go. Now let's go over to the lap steel. Got some noise going on in here at the beginning of the track. Let's see if we can, again, we could take our, I guess we could just take our blade tool. We can cut that here, go back, and then delete. And let's see. Yeah, that wasn't too bad. So we'll move up, we'll go to the lead vocal at this point. Let's get 2 more tracks here, so let's see if we can do this one more time. Nope, see, it just nudges. It just moves the track. It does not let you. And this is one of the things, there we go. So you really got to be accurate with this. You really have to be accurate. There we go. And then we have the harmony vocal. So that time wasn't a problem. And again, it's my technique. It's not a knock against the Raven. It's not a knock against Studio One. It's the technique. And this is what I'm trying to show is really what is the real world application. A lot of videos you see online with the Raven, and there's not a lot of them because it's a new product, right? Most of them are after someone has really gotten comfortable with the Raven and you can see them zipping around in there. So that's what's possible. And I'm sure that's possible. And I'm sure I'm going to be 3 months from now showing you videos where I'm flying all over the place. But you got to be prepared when you first get this that it's going to slow your workflow down a little until you get used to the new way of working. Okay, so that's important. Now, we also talked about in one of the other videos that there could just be some editing tasks and things that are just going to always be a mouse and a keyboard, you know? And that's just part of this kind of technology. There's nothing wrong with that. Because like I said in my last video, or 2 videos ago, that even if you just got, for me, this is my opinion now, I'm not speaking for anyone else, but even if you just achieved being able to use the mixer accurately and dial and tweak your plugins with your hands to get more of that hands-on feel, if that's all you really got out of this and everything else was much faster to do with a mouse or a trackpad or a tracker ball and a keyboard, that would be okay for me. I would much rather mix with my hands on the glass and tweak the plugins as opposed to some of this editing stuff. The editing stuff may just be much faster, but you know, I guess everyone's gonna have to find what works for them. So we're on the last track here. Let's just see if we can see we're nudging it, sliding it again. Let's see. There we go. That time it worked. So again, it's knowing where to grab it. Wow, that was not good. That completely moved the tracks. And again, if you could lock these on the timeline, you couldn't move the tracks. Then you could sit here all day and you can futz around there. And we just changed the clip gain. Oh, what did we do there? We changed the view. Okay, so let's Command Z. Okay, so let's go back to the large track. Extra large. Oops, let's turn that off. Okay. And let's zoom out a little bit here. And we'll scroll down. Okay, so we're on the harmony vocal track here. So let's zoom out a little bit. And let's use the scroll bar down here to kind of scroll to where we want to go. And let's see if we can get rid of all this dead space at the beginning. Okay, there we go. Let's see if we can fade this. That fading is going to be my Achilles heel. Okay. So we had a lot of dead space in there between the vocal parts for the harmony track. So again, let's just experiment with the range tool. Okay, good. And then we could just take this. Oh, we got to go back to the pointer. Fade in, and then we could scroll over. Fade in. So that time it worked okay for me. Range tool, pointer tool, zoom out a little. Okay, so little by little, we got some of our tracks kind of worked on, kind of got the fades in place. Hopefully all this audio is going to line up now. I didn't move anything and didn't realize what I didn't move yet. Let's just get all that stuff out of the way here. Wow, that's really annoying. Really annoying, but that's okay. It's okay. It's all good. It's all good, everybody. It's all good. So, okay, so here, that was pretty much me going through and fading in and out and just cutting up some tracks a little bit. So as you can see, a little frustrating. Difficult at times to get the accurate point, and again, I think that just takes practice. It is easier for me than it was in Logic, but it's still somewhat of a challenge, where we could have done that whole process in 1/3 of the time using the tracker ball. But that's okay, we're learning. So that's kind of how you would go in and work with the events and kind of cut things up and move. So that's what I wanted to kind of show in this video. This video is going to be a little bit more of a shorter video. Next video, we'll get into the actual processing of tracks now that I got some plugins going. But I just wanted to show you what that's all about and what some of the challenges you could face with this. So until the next video. This has been Dave at homerecordingmadeeasy.com. For more tips, coaching, training, and everything home recording, head out to homerecordingmadeeasy.com. And for more information about my mixing and mastering services, you can always head out to visionrecordingstudios.com. Leave a comment below. Tell me what you think about this series. If there's anything you'd like me to specifically demonstrate, I can try to do so. Again, we're going to take this step by step, and we're gonna go through this and eventually get this whole thing mixed and mastered, and just, you know, getting familiar with the Raven. All the struggles and everything that I'm experiencing, I still think this is the way of the future. I still think this is the technology that is going to eventually take over the next handful of years, and everybody's going to be doing this kind of thing. And the DAWs are going to be designed to work with touch, and the plugins are going to be designed, and we're all just going to get better at it, just like you do with an iPad or an iPhone, you know, or an Android or any one of those. So have no fear, we're going to work through this. And until next time, this has been Dave with homerecordingmadeeasy.com, and I will talk to you all soon. Take care.